Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of What's the Word? I'm your host, Abby, and today we have a very special guest for you. Today we're joined with Anna Cox. And Anna, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Hey, I'm super excited to be here. So, a little bit of background about me. I graduated actually like 5 months ago now from Riddle. I graduated in May of 2024 from the Prescott campus. I majored in forensic accounting and fraud examination, one of the little teeny tiny majors, and I minored in security and intelligence studies. I currently work as a financial analyst at RTX, and I also just started my own business. So, super excited to be here. Thank you, Abby.
Wow, yeah, what kind of business did you just start? That's awesome.
Yeah, I just started my solo accounting practice. It's going pretty slow for right now, but it's a new business. I'm also working full time as it is, but we're getting there. I wasn't planning on starting it right after college, but here we are.
Right, yeah. Oh, that is so exciting. And now, before we dive more into your job and your new business, do you have a favorite memory from Embry Riddle you'd like to share with us?
For sure. So there were really too many favorite memories to pick. Honestly, some of the best years of my life was spent at Riddle with all my friends there and learning so much about my major that I'm really passionate about. I would have to say my favorite memory was probably restarting the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners Student Club at the Prescott campus. It was started previously. It died down around 2019, around COVID time. And so I and a couple of my friends in the program restarted it, and it was really awesome to see just how much it brought our major together. As I mentioned, the FAFI major is a really tiny little major. There was about 50 of us total across all classes, and there was about 10 of us in my graduating class. So really super small major, and we had a lot of we worked together a lot, but it didn't feel like until we had this club that we really had a connection outside of class. And now with this club, pretty much all of us were a part of it. So it was basically just, a bi-weekly hangout time for all of us forensic accounting majors. And we also talked about some of the stuff that we did in class and, things that were going on in the industry, stuff like that. So that was probably my favorite memory.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool that you got to bring the club back to life and do it with your friends who I'm sure are going to be lifelong friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now shifting back to your work life, what does a typical day look like running your own business and working full time?
Well, so let's start with working full time. So this is my first actual job. That's like the one that I put first on my resume as opposed to my business. That's more of a side gig for right now, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So I am a financial analyst at RTX. I interned with RTX during the summer of my senior year and then also during my senior year. So I've got a good bit of introduction to it. So a lot of what I have been doing now is financial reporting. I've been doing so much financial reporting. My Mondays, the start of the week, are very hectic to say the least. They are extremely busy. It kind of tapers off during the end of the week. My weeks are very front loaded at RTX, but there's always something to do, always something new to take a look at, always something new to be involved in. There's plenty of opportunities for growth and learning at my job, and that's one of the things that I really like about it. Another thing that I really like about working at RTX as a financial analyst is I'm actually doing something useful. My work is part of a bigger thing that is actually having a positive impact, not just in my community or in the US, but in the world as a whole. The work that I'm doing is supporting initiatives that are going on in other countries that are making the world a better and safer place. And that's something that I really like about it. So I started an accounting practice. And as I mentioned, I wasn't going to when I first graduated. I was like, I'm going to start, I'm going to do it, 3 years from now, maybe 5 years from now, something like that. And then it got to be, July, August, 3 months after I graduated. And I was like, okay, I want to start my accounting practice now. So here we are. And what I have been working towards for right now is providing sort of a white glove financial management strategy practice for stylists and salon owners. And that's kind of an interesting strategy for me because I don't know a whole lot about it just yet. But it's been an interesting challenge to sort of dig into that industry and find their pain points, find the things that they really care about when it comes to the financial management of their businesses. And so that's been a really interesting challenge. Eventually, I want to start a forensic accounting firm, which is specifically related to my major. So I'm kind of looking at this business as sort of entrepreneurial practice.
Awesome. Very cool. Now, is there a certain thing that spurred you wanting to start it early, more so than your plan?
Yeah, there was, I could say, I guess, a catalyst of some sorts. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I met a business coach on LinkedIn who specializes in startups. And I did, one of those 30 minutes like discovery call kind of things with her about my business idea at that point. And I was telling her, yeah, I want to do this, but, in 3 years, in 5 years, something like that. And she asked this one question, and that's something that I have been thinking about every day in so many situations since then. And it wasn't that long ago, but I have a feeling this question is going to stick with me for a long time. The question was, why not now? And I was like, that's a good point. That's a good point. Why not now? So that's kind of something, like I said, that I took it to heart. I was like, why can't I start my accounting firm now? Why can't I, do this now, learn this now? Yeah, that's something that has really stuck with me. It's carried over not just into my business, but into my work with RTX as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And that advice is actually really good for just everyday life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now, transitioning a little bit, are you able to tie writing into your full-time job or into your startup business?
Yes. So at RTX, I write so many emails. Like I read somewhere that office workers send an average of 40 emails per day. And that is absolutely the case for me. I definitely send at least 40 emails a day. Obviously, not all to the same people, thank goodness, but definitely at least 40. And on Mondays, as I mentioned, the front loaded week, it's probably closer to 60 emails a day. I do a lot of email writing. And the same goes for my business as well, doing networking, talking to potential clients, things like that.
Yeah, emails are very important. But do you have a second form of writing that you rely on heavily as well?
At RTX is probably actually PowerPoints. Something interesting that I have learned since being like in the workforce, for the last 4 months or whatever, is that there's not actually that much like true report writing. Like in college, how we write these like essays, things like that. There's actually not that much of that in the workplace. These PowerPoints that I do take the place of those physical reports. So there's a lot more of like visualization and charts and things like that in it.
Right. Okay. Awesome. And now with the PowerPoint, have you noticed that you have to be more concise and proper with your word choice?
Absolutely. Yes. That is very much the case. There's no, wordy PowerPoint slides are not tolerated by leadership. You get a lot more questions, a lot more probing and prying questions for your wordy PowerPoint slides. So it's a lot better to just be concise, make sure that you're saying only what needs to be said. There's no word count that needs to be met. So really what matters is how fast you can say what you need to say.
Perfect. Yeah. And now, is there a lot of writing that goes into creating your own business?
I would say there is a lot of writing in some aspects. One of the most important things that I have learned that you need to do when starting a business is make your business plan. You need to know, exactly how you want to handle certain functions. You need to understand where you want to go in the future, what your target market is, what your branding is going to look like, how you're going to market to your target market, things like that. And a lot of that goes into creating a business plan. So I have a business plan and it's about 40 pages right now. I am a little bit wordy by nature, so I'm sure I can make it a little shorter if I needed to, but I'm the one who's reading it, so it's okay. And it has everything about my business. It has, what my logos are going to look like, what my, even what my font is that I use on all of my branding. It has my marketing, my social media accounts, in addition to like my actual processes for how I handle onboarding clients, how I handle, like monthly reporting to my clients, my engagement letters, things like that. So there is a lot of writing, I would say, in that aspect that goes into starting a small business. Once the business plan is made, it is primarily, networking on social media, type writing, emailing, things like that, making reports for your clients.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And now back to Riddle. Do you feel that Riddle prepared you well for writing in the workplace, either at your full-time job or starting your own business?
So I guess, like I mentioned before, there's not that much actual report writing. Most of the reports, like I said, are in the form of PowerPoints that are like presented to leadership in real time. And while I did have a lot of presentations, especially in my higher level classes, I would say we could probably do a little bit more of that sort of preparation in college than actual report writing. Maybe that's just for, RTX where I'm working, but that's definitely been my experiences. There's a lot more PowerPoints, a lot less actual report writing, and specifically a lot less report writing that has a word count, if that makes sense. Sometimes professors will have word counts for their essays. There is none of that. As far as leadership is concerned, if you're writing them something, it needs to be as short as possible while still getting your point across.
Right. Short, sweet, and to the point. I love it.
Absolutely. You got it.
And now I do have one more question for you today, Anna, and it's that, do you have any advice that you'd like to give our current Eagles?
So I was so excited when I saw this question. So this is something that I was screaming while I was there, and I will continue to scream to anyone who will listen. Get involved in your college. I have a couple of friends that are going to be mad at me for saying this, but your 4.0 GPA doesn't really matter in the workplace. Even if you go get a master's, 3.5 is still just fine. Employers don't really care if you have a 4.0 GPA. They want to see the experiences that you have. So go join or lead a club, go, get an internship, even while school is in session. You can do 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, depending on how well you manage your time. Conduct a research project that is impactful to your industry, something like that. I know Riddle is really, really, really good with having clubs that are tailored towards student interests. There's a whole program for undergraduate research. So I think that's something that if I could tell students that are currently at Riddle one thing, that would be it. Go get involved in your college. Go, even just, make friends. Go hang out at a for fun club, something like that. It looks really good on your resume to have those experiences. And honestly, it makes the college experience better to get involved.
And that is great advice. Thank you, Anna. Everyone be sure to get involved. Enjoy the college experience to the fullest. There's so many clubs at Riddle that are so much fun to join. But that wraps up this week's episode of What's the Word? We want to give Anna a big thank you for being on with us this week. We loved having you on, Anna. If you're new to our podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify, and stay tuned for more.
This podcast is supported by the Department of Humanities and Communication at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Prescott, Arizona. Our hosts are Abigail Bradbury and Owen Smith. Matthew Haslam is the department chair, and I'm Amelia Chesley, assistant professor of professional writing. Many thanks to the Prescott Campus Writing and Design Lab for hosting our transcripts. The intro and outro music is Wanderer by Alex. You can find us where most podcasts are found, and please do reach out if you are a Prescott Campus alum. We'd love to feature you in a future episode.